Mad Dodge Productions is ad-free, not by choice, mind you. If we had our way, we'd spam your eyeballs with pop-ups until they melted away into white wisps of smoke floating up into the ozone layer. Help prevent yourself from going blind by visiting Mad Dodge Productions on patreon.com. You can also prevent yourself from going blind by not masturbating so much. Seriously, you are lucky that thing with the hairy palms isn't real. Wait, what? Oh, well, don't use Gillette. That's all I have to say on the matter. I am Umthoff Neverborn, the abyss that slumbers, and you are listening to Eldritch Rants, the show that dares to ask the question, in order to get High Priestess AOC to speak, do they put peanut butter on the roof of her mouth? The answer to this question and many more will be addressed by our panel of experts, which includes Che Guevara as Morgan Freeman, Justin Bieber as Kate Moss, Babe Ruth as Lucille Ball, and Farty as Judas Iscariot's chief eunuch. Oh, hey Farty, what's going on?
Nothing much.
Indeed. Yes, indeed. But first up, we're going with announcements. You might be wondering where I've been for the past few weeks. Well, the station got a little visit from Kakos Industries, the people who help people do evil better. They wanted to buy out Redeye Rants and add it to their list of evil companies. I informed them that we are in fact the propaganda media outlet for a theocratic government in exile. They made the case that we were a natural fit given that we serve Kek, the god of darkness and destruction. I informed them that Kek was indeed the god of darkness, destruction, but also of chaos. None of those things are inherently evil. In fact, Kek represents the positive aspects of those spheres of influence. Sometimes darkness, destruction, and chaos is a good thing. And that's when they turned me into stone. Several weeks later, I found myself unpetrified and standing in a rather large fountain in the lobby of Kakos Industries. I was quite naked and continuously pissing water into the fountain. The reverse process took much longer than one would expect, so I got to stand there, paralyzed, constantly shooting water out of my junk for almost an hour before I could move again and yank the tube out of my ass. All I can say is that I now understand why Tom Hanks requires that in every movie that he happens to star in, there is at least one scene where the audience is forced to watch him take a leak. Oddly enough, Kakos Industries was just as surprised as I was, given that they have no idea how the petrification process could be reversed. I was otherwise no worse the wear, except that for the fact that they replaced my penis when I was a statue. It is now 4 times larger than before, meaning it's almost 4 inches in circumference. It's also upside down, barbed, and dripping some sort of paralytic. Apparently, they replaced it with a sea urchin's wang. Needless to say, it's a pain to masturbate. And I cannot find any adult undergarments that are any good at absorbing sea urchin contact poison. I'm not sure how to feel about this, but I can say that Kakos Industries does live up to its reputation of helping you do evil better. Not that I was planning on it, but hey, details. Otherwise, doing okay. How have you been the past couple of weeks, Barty?
Oh, just sleeping. I've missed a hell of a lot.
Sleeping is good. Same thing that I felt. I actually missed several weeks there and I didn't notice the passage of time. As per our contract, we are now required to speak about our message to black people. Dear black people, it has been determined that none of us want to touch your hair. The fact that anyone is touching your hair is no longer authorized by the alt-right. If anyone does touch your hair, you are just dealing with someone who is sexually attracted to you and extremely creepy. Feel free to handle the matter in any way you wish. We request that if this does happen and the perpetrator is white, that you break their fingers. They are most likely a pedophile. And now a word from our sponsor. This episode of Red Eye brought to you by Zopro. Try new Zopro. We aren't allowed to tell you what the drug does on air, but let us assure you, there's a reason the FCC doesn't let us give you that information. Just know that this shit is really, really, really good. I mean it. If the FCC won't let us say what the drug is used for, that means you definitely want some of this. Trust us. Ask your doctor if Zopro is right for you. Hell, demand this shit. And don't take no for an answer. You're giving him money, you own him. You could go to any doctor. If he wants that sweet, sweet insurance money that he's double billing for, and you're gonna look the other way, he better hook you up with the good stuff. If he doesn't, give me a call. I know a guy. Don't take Zopro if you're allergic. Period. Like if you have any allergies at all to anything. Side effects include Asperger helper, restless cranium syndrome, mild giantism, anal leakage, hallucinations of the walls melting into disintegrating ash, the sky will grow dark with highlights of fire. The ground will buckle and crack. There will be the sound of talons clicking all around you. Before you will stretch an unending path of decay, a path that you will know you must walk, lest you fall and become entombed in the ever-churning earth. And itchy scalp. Stop taking Zopro if your penis doubles in both girth and length, as this is a sign of a serious side effect. A seriously awesome side effect. High five party, give it up here. Zopro! Trippin' balls, y'all! This has been a word from our sponsor. Top story tonight, rabid dog terrorizes downtown, foam at 11. But first, meet more news. News from the warfront. Bielefeld, Germany has been memed from existence. In the German state of North Rhine-Westphalia, the city of Bielefeld no longer exists, as in fact never did. The German meme task force, SIE, continues to try and hold this meme front, but has, for all intents and purposes, lost complete control over Bielefeld, and the city now no longer exists. In fact, it never existed in the first place. I ask you these questions. Do you know anyone from Bielefeld? Have you ever been to Bielefeld? Do you know anyone who has ever been to Bielefeld? Currently, there is no word from the Kyrgyzstan Intelligence Agency, but the KIA, the CIA, and Mossad have all sent investigators into the area to determine what force could possibly cause an entire city to suffer spontaneous and retroactive existence failure. The current theory is that Bielefeld was just plain boring.
This just in, on a related note, German attempts to extradite the infamous international criminal Pepe from the Russian exile has since failed again.
We can only hope that continues. This just in. I wanted to talk about Zopro as it is our sponsor, so I took some and I have felt mildly better. I don't think it's anywhere near as bad as its detractors make it out to be, but I'll give you updates as my trip continues. News from the William H. Cosby Memorial Large Hadron Collider. An assault by CNN forces on the William H. Cosby Memorial Large Hadron Collider resulted in many casualties. They came in through the south wall, made a breach with explosive charges of sexual harassment. Those scientists not killed in the initial attack were taken prisoner and forced to release public statements apologizing for how sexist their shirts were. Alas, a terrorist attack this far behind our front lines was not anticipated, and local security forces were not up to the task. The facility was held by enemy mobile news teams for over 36 hours, during which time no less than 3 Muslim solidarity protests were staged and recorded. Also, that girl who shows up as a refugee in all their stories put in an appearance as she was carried across a suburban hellscape by a bearded man. Unfortunately, that suburban hellscape was created out of the William H. Cosby Memorial Large Hadron Collider's main office building. The HR department was completely obliterated and is survived by a break room and several conference tables. After a tense 36-hour standoff, KWAC Special Forces arrived on the scene to meme those normie bastards back to Satan's puckered asshole from hence they came. A sad day for Kyrgyzstan, but the survivors vowed to rebuild the facility and refused to be cowed by these terrorists. To quote the newly appointed director of William H. Cosby Memorial Large Hadron Collider, lead scientist, redacted, stated, "If we don't kick CNN in the balls, then CNN will have won. We're not sure how one kicks a corporation in the testicles, but if anyone can figure out how to do it, it's the boys at the William H. Cosby Memorial Large Hadron Collider. Give them hell, Mr. Redacted. Give them hell."
In a related Williams story, Bill Clinton has released Slick Willie's laundry detergent. It's guaranteed to get your clothes forensically clean.
I think they're going to be our next sponsor, actually. Up next, High Priest AOC got in a flame war with Trump on Twitter. AOC told Trump that he was evil, vile, covered with fleas, a liar, a traitor, a monster, ender of worlds, a tyrant, literally Hitler, and the end of reason. She then followed up with, he should be shot, stabbed, stapled, mangled, folded, spindled, hung, torn into itty-bitty pieces, and buried alive. Trump responded by asking people in general, do you think AOC is getting a little tubby? The entire world exploded in outrage at Trump for daring to make such a horrific statement. Twitter servers literally imploded, melted, and then burrowed straight into the Earth's crust. Nancy Pelosi stated, many people think Trump's actions may be criminal, and because of that, AOC is totally justified. She then began to gesture so wildly that the holes in her arms from heroin use started to make hauntingly beautiful music that reminded this reporter of the time he had to hide under the floorboards. She concluded her statement by saying, you know I'm running for president, right? And then she added, also, I have a vagina.
She concluded the interview by going,
Oh, I didn't realize she was friends with Sarah Jessica Parker. Fascinating that. Breaking news! In Florida, they just passed a law allowing paramedics to carry guns, making the world one step closer to my dream of a cyberpunk-style dock wagons. This prompted Bernie Sanders to share his vision of Medicare for all. He stated, "I hate capitalism because it leads to monopolies, and monopolies are bad for the little guy. That is why I want to consolidate all healthcare under a monopoly run by the government, because we'll do it right." The resulting cognitive dissonance killed 4 reporters outright, maimed a dozen more, and aged Bernie Sanders right before the audience's eyes, like that guy who drank from a fake Holy Grail. However, because Bernie is already on a first-name basis with Moses, the result was barely noticeable. Any follow-up, Farty?
No.
Breaking news, the Salvation Army was greatly disturbed by the clothes you dumped off in the bin and did some digging into the rest of your wardrobe. They are going to come by your home and burn the rest of your clothes because, and I quote, "for the good of humanity and all future generations."
And that's not because the Salvation Army are just trying to get their own back on people who use them as a garbage tip. That's just because the Salvation Army are really, in fact, a bunch of fucking assholes.
In other news, the 8th Circuit Court of Appeals in California ruled that if you own an alcohol-powered self-driving vehicle, you are guilty of driving while intoxicated.
Poor Herbie. Poor Herbie.
Follow-up here. The Guardian stated that a no-deal Brexit will destroy the universe because Iran might not be able to toss gays from its roofs anymore. Somehow Brexit will cause global warming, which will raise the oceans, and their streets will be flooded in Tehran. Thus, tossing gays off the roof won't kill them, it'll just make a big splash. This prompted gays to torpedo 2 oil tankers in the Gulf of Iran in an attempt to speed up this process. Complicating the issue is that glaciers in the U.S. National Glacier Park steadfastly refuse to melt. This has become a rather uncomfortable fact that the DNC means to correct by serving the glaciers with eviction notices using court documents coded with several metric tons of napalm. Today, in an effort to put more positive spin on their organization, the Union of Abortion Doctors changed their name to Union of Spawn Campers. Ironically, this prompted a severe escalation in hatred for the organization, mainly because murdering babies might be frowned upon, but nobody likes a bitch trying to inflate his kill count. Gamergate was approached by our reporters, but refused to comment. Thoughts, Farty?
Spawn campers.
In media news, today the TV series Miracle Workers basically vanished. They attempted with their show to offend every Christian on the planet. The show starred Daniel Radcliffe as an angel and Steve Buscemi as God. The show tried its level best to be as insulting as possible, but failed in its mission statement because nobody even knew the TV series existed, much less was airing on TBS.
No idea myself.
Yesterday, Joseph Biden of Nazareth declared that if he was elected president, he would cure cancer. When asked to clarify his statement, he was asked, "Do you mean that you will pour massive amounts of government money into the attempt to cure cancer?" He then replied, emphatically, "No." He then went on to state, "What I mean is, I have the cure for cancer. I've had it for years now. We discovered the cure back when I was vice president. We could have cured everybody on the planet by 2010. But I realized a whole card like that was just too good to pass up. So I had everybody who knew about the cure killed and kept a copy of the research for just such an occasion." He then sniffed his microphone for a bit before he continued, "Yes, that might make me a monster, but let's not dwell upon my corpse-filled past. Let's concentrate on your corpse-filled future if I'm not elected president. And I mean that. I will burn everything if I am not elected." He smiled pleasantly as he continued, "Which is why I'm announcing my new campaign slogan. Vote Joe to save the lives of your loved ones from a grisly death." At which point, a crate of kittens was then rolled out onto stage and left next to him. Joe then concluded his press conference by proceeding to, one at a time, strangle the kittens and throw the carcasses at reporters he didn't like. This reporter is quite uncomfortable reporting that the entire time Joe had a rather visible erection. Comment, Farty.
Yes, we now cross to a conspiracy theorist 9/11 truth of his opinion. I told you so, man.
We should have listened to them more. They had all the answers and we knew nothing. This just in from the American Medical Association. They have recently updated the list of things that will cause cancer. And by cancer, I mean the giant mythical space crab that dwells in the void to seep down from dark stars and devour the non-believers. The list includes that smell, chittering sounds, the person who brought you there disappearing, random cries for help, Brie Larson's butt cheeks, hence why they were surgically removed, any bog, the boiler room, dismemberment, darkness full of eyes, and anything really cute out of place. If you have been exposed to anything on this list, chances are you're not generating us any ad revenue, because you are already dead. Thoughts, Farty?
I'm already dead.
Sorry to hear that. An update on how I'm tripping. The nylon hair growing out of my tongue is tickling my brain. My priest touched me in places that made baby Jesus cry tears of blackest pitch, yet sometimes I pee red. On the other hand, if you take cranberries and stew them like applesauce, they taste more like prunes than rhubarb does. You are the wind beneath my wings. A lifetime of not smiling has left my face youthfully smooth. I have all the emotional range of a Botox overdose victim. I am truly dead inside. After all, what is the melting point of 1980s Scottish rock band The Proclaimers? 500 miles. If not, walk 500 more. Put the bunny back in the box. Furthermore, roller coasters are a ripoff because you wind up right where you started. It makes more sense to have a series of roller coasters that went around the amusement park so you could get off at different sections of the park. This raises many disturbing questions. If the pie is going straight to my thigh, how will we get the weasel to stand still? And is it dishwasher safe? At the laundromat last night, was it you who filled the dryers with cheese? And finally, are you saying that I should kill my family? Well, if you insist. More on this after I'm found not guilty by reason of insanity and/or mental defect. Thoughts, Farty?
My brain has melted.
An uplifting message from the Church of Gar Nar. Inspiring. Truly inspiring. What do you think, Farty?
Yes. My brain has ceased melting. I'm now alive.
They are such great people over there. Thought for the day. The truth is the best weapon, but lies are a far more common form of ammunition. Know when to be a sniper and when to spray and pray. Any wrap-up comments?
Did you know every year, thousands upon thousands of children go off to mime school, never to be heard from again?
Tragic. And this is the part where we shill. Thanks for listening to Redeye Rants, and a special thanks to being hosted by Mad Dodge Productions, who was there for us when the normies attacked. He has the very best floorboards to hide under. It was practically a bed and breakfast down there. So please, like, comment, and subscribe, because it fucks with the algorithms. Do your part for chaos. And I haven't been getting any letters from the listeners. Start sending in those letters, listeners. I suggest you start by posting them in the comments below. I can squeeze through any opening that I can fit my head through, so you might want to keep that in mind if you're not getting around to sending me any letters. It's been real and it's been fun. Not sure if it's been real fun. Any last words, Farty?
Boobies.